a second option of 30 crores also, as long as they have achieved their targets. So this is the kind of opportunity MP has. An MP, the biggest benefit of MP is its manpower. But unfortunately, a lot of that manpower is sitting in Bangalore and Hyderabad. We need to get them back. And I noticed that in your semiconductor policy, you have a strategy to bring them back. I think that's absolutely wonderful, because that will get us to be more successful. As I suggested to Sanjay ji, that we should hold a road show in Bangalore, we should hold a road show in Hyderabad, tell them about our policies, get those people back. All those MP guys are all sitting there, and you made a list of all those guys also, right? So let's go get them back. And I think that will make us very, very successful, because I believe manpower is what makes a state. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
तो ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट की तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने समिट का उद्घाटन किया। 18 से ज्यादा नीतियों का भी उन्होंने इनॉग्रेशन किया।
To call Shri S. Krishnan, sir, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. He has played a pivotal role in India's digital transformation, driving policies in AI, cybersecurity, and emerging technology. With vast experience in governance, he has led industrial development, fiscal planning, and investment promotion in Tamil Nadu. His contributions extend to international financial discussion, including representation at the IMF. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Sri S. Krishnan, sir.
Additional Chief Secretary of the Government of Madhya Pradesh and Science, Technology and Information Technology, Shri Sanjay Dubey. Dr. Ajay Chaudhary, founder of EPIC Foundation, founder of HCL, and currently the chair of the National Quantum Mission. Many of my friends from industry, both on and off the stage. Let me first congratulate the government of Madhya Pradesh for having hosted such an energetic and such a vibrant investor summit here in Bhopal, in surroundings which are very interesting, in surroundings that bridge what needs to happen in this country, of taking the country forward while preserving some of its very essential character. We are in the middle of the Manav Sangrahalaya, the anthropological museum for traditional communities here in the country, and how we take them on this path of development without affecting them is probably one of the key elements that we take away from an event of this nature. And very interestingly, in the morning's inaugural session, both in the videos that were displayed and in the Honorable Prime Minister's speech, the one thing that you find is the emphasis on technology. 20 years ago, if you were at any of these events, most of the people you would meet would be investment bankers. Most of the people would be from the financial world. Life has changed completely. Today, it is the technology people who are the critical elements of what happens in any economy. Economy moves forward on the basis of technology. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology had a study conducted recently with the support of ICRIER, the Indian Council for International Economic Relations, where they wanted to assess what the size of the digital economy was. And what we found was very interesting. Till about 10 years ago, the size of the digital economy was barely 6 or 7% of India's GDP. Now it is currently at about 13%. It has doubled. And it is expected to grow to almost 20% by the turn of this decade, by about 2030. What you see in the digital economy, which comprises two broad parts, and it doesn't count the entire impact of digital technology on the economy. It doesn't count that. It's basically about those segments of the economy which are primarily digital. Whether you're talking about IT, ITES and other services, digital commerce and so on, or whether you're talking about electronics, semiconductors and so on. Fundamentally, those which are related to digital technology. It's expected to reach 20% of the total size of India's economy by 2030. It is growing twice as fast as the rest of the economy. So that is the significance of what the digital economy can really do for us and why it is becoming that much more significant. And as I pointed out, it doesn't even count the impact of digital technology on all other sectors. Today, if you speak about the textile sector, you speak about the mining sector, you talk about the medical sector, you talk about drug discovery, you talk about delivery of services in any of these sectors, all of it is being enhanced by the use of digital technology. It is contributing to the growth in productivity in each of these sectors in a very, very significant way. And which is why the emphasis on growing the digital technology sector in a country like India. And this is what? This is the one thing which offers a country like India the opportunity to leapfrog. This is the one opportunity we have to actually ride the digital technology wave in order to overtake and in order to ensure that we become truly a developed nation, a Viksit Bharat by 2047. If one thing gives you the opportunity, this is what gives you the opportunity. Many people, many experts, economists and others feel, for instance, that artificial intelligence and what the AI revolution can do in this century, in this decade, and in the coming decade is almost what the steam engine and the first industrial revolution did in the final decades of the 19th century. So that is the kind of impact that we could potentially see, and that is what we really need to harvest, and which is why I think the government of Madhya Pradesh giving so much importance to having the opening plenary of this of their global investors meet, focusing on Tech Invest, I think is an extremely timely measure, and the 5 policies that they have brought out clearly focus on the various elements of what the digital economy will entail and how we can harness technology. So there are multiple parts to this. One part to this clearly is what needs to happen in the ITES sector in terms of deepening the value chain, in terms of making sure that the value add that happens, the kind of jobs that get created in this sector are not the kind of jobs which got created 20 or 25 years ago. These are different jobs. These are high value added jobs. These are high knowledge intensive jobs. These are the kind of jobs which reach and which meet the aspirations of India's youth, of people who are better educated, have more to offer in a range of services. So clearly the GCCs, the Global Capability Centers, are not just hyped up BPO operations. They are actually engineering R&D centers. They are the kind of centers which can actually contribute to enhanced value across the world. And the other thing that you would see is possibly that a lot more of the talent which otherwise would have got exported by emigrating out of the country would actually be talent which gets retained in the country and is able to then, as a spillover, contribute to greater growth. That is the importance of the GCC sector in terms of the higher quality jobs that. The second important is to be addressed the overall electronic in terms of higher value chain. Today, the one thing that we need is that the global value chain. Manufactured in just manufactured across countries. Typically,
तो ग्लोबल इन्वेस्टर समिट की ये तस्वीरें आप देख रहे हैं। सीएम डॉक्टर मोहन यादव और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने समिट का उद्घाटन किया है और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी बिहार दौरे के लिए रवाना हो चुके हैं। तकरीबन 1.25 घंटे तक वो उस समिट में मौजूद रहे। सीएम डॉक्टर मोहन यादव ने महाकाल की तस्वीर देकर उनका स्वागत किया।
were all imported. Today, more than 99% of the mobile phones are assembled in India, are made in India, in a sense of being put together in India. It doesn't mean that all of them are manufactured from scratch in India. About the value addition which takes place in India is about 18 to 20%. Clearly that has to increase. But please also remember that 18 to 20% value addition takes place in a segment which is extremely labor intensive, which is employment intensive, and it produces a large number of jobs. And that again is extremely important for a country like India, for a state like Madhya Pradesh, or for any state. Alongside that, we need to deepen that value chain. We need to ensure that that value chain continues to stay in India, that industry continues to stay in India, because it has to deliver more jobs, it has to create more jobs, and we have to export these products in order for these jobs to be created. Dr. Chaudhary mentioned the Product Nation Committee report, task force report, of which he was a part. An important dimension of what we are attempting to do there is to actually increase value addition in India, ensure that more components and various other parts of the electronics are actually manufactured in India, to make sure that even if the labor economics dimension shift, even if it becomes cheaper in some other country to actually assemble these units, we have enough value addition to be done here to keep the industry anchored in the country. But that alone is not enough. As Mr. Chaudhary pointed out, I mean, this is an iPhone. Now, typically when you look at an iPhone, what you find is probably in the US market it's worth about, say, $1,000. Of that $1,000, the entire cost, the bill of materials, all the equipment that goes into it, all the cost of assembling is probably about 25% or 30%, $250 or $300 out of the $1,000. The rest of the $700 accrues to the company that designs it, and which is why the design ecosystem is also so important in India, which is why you need to design products in India, make products of quality, make products of the kind where we can actually sell competitively across the world. So what we need to do, in addition to doing all of this, is to make sure that we have an environment which enables us to make products in a competitive fashion. Dr. Chaudhary pointed out some of the aspects which are important there in terms of where government policy can help. There are more areas where government policy can help. In all of those spaces, it's important. We can bring down the costs of doing business. We can bring down the costs of regulation. Each of those areas will contribute to this, and we need to work hand in hand with industry to make sure that the investment takes place and we are able to produce in a way that is competitive across the globe. So that's another dimension. Equally, semiconductors. What the COVID pandemic taught us, and at that point I was still posted in the government of Tamil Nadu. Hyundai, the big car maker, had made a large number of cars. They were ready to be shipped. They couldn't ship them simply because they did not have the semiconductor chips which need to go into the various electronic components of the car. So everything else is ready. Everything else is ready, but you couldn't ship because the supply chain of semiconductors was disrupted. Today, in addition to having, and that is a key contribution India can make to the global economy itself, in terms of contributing to resilient supply chains globally, particularly in the semiconductor space. And that is the ambition that India has, and that is what the government is attempting to do in terms of making sure that we have a position in the semiconductor space. We are able to not just manufacture, but even design. Already India has probably one of the largest design manufacturing ecosystems in the world, in the semiconductor space. Nearly 20% of the entire design human resources in the semiconductor space is based out of India. But we are designing for a number of countries globally. It's not a bad thing. They're good jobs. They're worthwhile jobs. They are GCCs. Let us remember that. But equally what it means is that we should see the spillover of that. We should